This will be a faster video. We'll see. I always promise and don't deliver on that one, so apologies. I do want to talk to you about a rhetorical component of writing. This is called exigency. It is why a writer writes right now. It comes from Latin. It means urgency or something that requires response. So an emergency situation or exigency is urgent and demands immediate action. So it's basically defined as why I write right now, or a writer's motivation for writing. This is also often linked to the rhetorical principle of Kairos, and I'll get to that in a minute. So exigency is sometimes confused with purpose, but purpose is I've got this thing I believe and I want to write about. Exigency is what is it that triggered me to do it now? Why do I feel like now is the right time to discuss this thing with this audience in this genre at this time? So exigence is very much connected to a current situation or a current thing that I need to respond to. Something happened. It could be someone told a joke. It could be someone insulted you. It could be someone sent you a tweet. It could be that you got a notification on your cell phone through one of many social media devices. It could be that a commercial came on. Anything. It could be that you stubbed your toe. Something that feels like it needs a response is called an exigency. It's the motivation to write now. So there's a difference between having a belief and feeling like people should know about it, and then needing to respond because someone else said something or did something that you feel like you have to share that belief as a result. I will do another video applying this since we're in the middle of summer 2020 to the George Floyd protests. I'm going to talk about genre and exigency in a third video just to keep that a little bit separate, and it's going to be more of a textual analysis of sorts or just an application of these things. I'm going to keep it separate. For now, exigency is a writer's motivation for writing right now. So it's often because it has to do with kind of a responding, triggering the event that you have to respond to. It also gets linked with Kairos, which is a fancy Greek word for a timely moment. So a lot of times people know about ethos, pathos, logos, but they don't always hear about Kairos. And so Kairos is the timely moment. So this may be tied to things like nailing the punchline of a joke. It may be knowing that if you don't respond by a certain time, something bad will happen, or you might miss out. So there's the Kairos is finding the best or most appropriate time to respond to the trigger, whatever it was, exigency-wise. And a lot of times, so exi is usually considered. It's a Greek root that usually means like outside of ourselves, so an outward urgency. But as a writer, a lot of times those outward urgencies trigger an internal compulsion to write. And so we want to be aware of that. So, but as we go to respond, we have to think about, is this the right response right now? And so that's where Kairos comes in. So for instance, my terrible example, and I'm not condoning it, I'm just saying, I'm trying to teach you about Kairos. So you and your friends are out skateboarding. And one of your friends goes to do a kickflip over some sort of obstacle and over a rail and off onto a platform 4 feet below. As he gets up into the air, his kickflip goes well, but then his toe clips on the bar. Now, as he starts turning horizontal, that would be an appropriate time to make a joke about bird plane. No, it's Superman. Right? And then you might get a laugh. Appropriate, again, I said it's a terrible example. You might get a laugh from a couple friends who are around, right? But once he flies past the bar and falls on his elbow and there's a bone sticking out and it's broken and there's blood and people are calling 911, that is not, you've missed the timely moment for making the joke and getting a laugh. Not that I think you should make fun of people when they clearly mess up. I'm just saying, Kairos, timely moment. There's a time where socially it would be acceptable in some instances to tell a joke that a few minutes later, a few moments later, may be completely wrong and people would be very upset, right? So you want to be careful how you, when you feel a trigger to respond, you want to be careful that you respond at an appropriate moment. Now, different genres, like we've discussed in another video, have different expectations. So things that are kind of news cycle oriented, if you're going into business or political science even, you may, or if you've just watched Madam Secretary, they talk about this news cycle. And so if you can kind of survive the news cycle, that's the timely moment. There's a certain amount of time that you have to get a response in that, and it's very quick. If you're responding to a tweet, those are usually fast paced. Things on social media tend to go much faster. If someone posted to Facebook and you don't like it till a week later, sometimes it's like it's already passed and done, and it doesn't have the same meaning as if you liked it right then. Like you get the notification from Facebook that it's your best friend's birthday, and you haven't talked to them in 2 weeks, and then you wait 3-4 more days to send them a happy birthday gif or something. Not gift, gif, because it's social media. I'm sorry. But if you wait too long, then it's missed, and you may lose. It's no longer your best friend because someone else did something cooler. I don't know. But there are other genres that are meant to have a long cycle of response. In fact, it's some of the reason why people get frustrated at times with academic publishing, because I could do research, and my research, this is more scientifically oriented, but it still applies. My research may not get published till 6 years sometimes later, because that's how long it takes for us to vet, for me to develop a study, to confirm my findings, to have it vetted or checked or peer reviewed multiple times, to have the publisher go back and forth to make sure it does what it's supposed to do, and all of that. It can be a long process. Even journal articles that are usually a little bit faster still have 2 or 3 passes of peer reviews, and so there's an expectation that's even with things like that there's an extended timeline. It's not a 24-hour news cycle that you have to respond to. Sometimes you have years to respond to something someone else said in a scholarly environment. So exigency is why I write right now. Kairos is the timely moment. There's an appropriate window of time. It's almost like statute of limitations on certain crimes. There are some things you can be tried for only for a certain amount of time. There are others that have no statute of limitations, which means there's no time limit on how long you can be charged with that. So you could have done something when you were 20, and if it's a bad enough crime, when you're 70, if suddenly someone discovers that, you could still go to prison or worse. So that's kind of how Kairos works, and that's how exigency works. Exigency is the trigger. Kairos, exigency is the trigger that gets you moving. Kairos is the thing that establishes when is the appropriate time to communicate or to write in this way or in this form or respond to this particular thing. So keep that in mind. Exigence or exigency is fun. They're interchangeable. Enjoy.